After a full year of buying limes and cracking them open to see that no seeds exist, I finally found one that had seeds. So I decided I would make a garden on my balcony to see if I could grow them myself. And then 2 full years passed after that, and I've got a lot to tell you about what happened. Now, there's a reason it took me a full year to find a lime with seeds, because only key limes produce seeds. And now, remember this fact, because it's gonna be important in this story. But first, I took my lime, cut a straight line down the middle, and opened it up to reveal about 5 seeds hiding inside. I cut a little slit on the top of the seed and started peeling the outer layer of skin off, which helps prevent the seeds from molding over. I've tried growing lime and lemon seeds with the skin on, and they usually die before they grow little tails. Layer by layer, I peeled away just until my seeds looked something like this. And then I placed them on a damp piece of paper towel, sealed it airtight in a bag, and waited 7 days for not germination, but germination. And when I went to check on the seeds, they looked a little something like this. You could see we had tails poking out of the bottom of the seed, and the seeds themselves were starting to go from a pale white color to a bright green color. But only a few of them sprouted. So I checked the tails out a bit more and left them to continue growing for another 7 days. Patience is key here, because when I went to check on the tails growing, they were looking so much more defined, and even though some were growing faster than others, 2 seeds were definitely ready to move into a new home. So I took the 2 seeds, placed them in a big bed of soil, watered them, and kept them in a sunny spot to start growing. And week after week, they continued to grow pretty nicely. Waiting was so hard, but it's obviously needed if we wanted to grow our key lime plant successfully by the end of the summer. And then once the plant grew, I would only have to wait 2 years until my limes grew. Way better than other trees like avocados, which take around 10 years to produce fruit. And now, remember when I told you that the reason it took me a full year to find a lime with seeds was because I figured out that only key limes produce seeds? Well, I figured that out because every time I would go to the grocery store, I could only find Persian and bear limes, the seedless varieties. But one day last year, I walked into the store, and to my surprise, I finally found a bag of key limes being sold, and I thought it was a rare occurrence. But after that first bag, I started to see them every time I went to the store. And I was so confused how all of a sudden, after searching every store for a year with no success, finally they were popping up everywhere, and I wasn't imagining it. The store owner told me that key lime started to become much more common in Canadian grocery stores because there was apparently a rising demand for key lime pie from people like me. No, but really, we all apparently wanted more flavors in our kitchen, so Canada listened and improved import systems to make it easier for retailers to stock them regularly. So you can imagine how excited I was to finally walk into the local grocery store every week and be able to buy key limes and be a part of the key lime pie growing family. If only that could happen with every exotic fruit, then we will be golden, okay? I have high hopes. But anywho, eventually by the end of the summer, my key lime plant looked like this. And I live in Canada. The winter was fast approaching. So if this plant had any chance of survival, it would be indoors for the next 6 to 8 months. So I took it inside, and when I did, it was doing quite well. It actually survived that entire winter, and once summer came back around, it was ready to go back outside. But to my absolute surprise, I'm not sure if I shocked the plant with the sun or it just couldn't handle the move from indoor to outdoor, winter to summer, but my plant ended up losing its leaves and looking like this. I left it for a few weeks hoping it would turn green and start to grow back like the trees here that are built different do, but it never happened. And so, at an attempt to salvage my key lime plant, I removed a seedling to see if there were white roots at the bottom, and unfortunately, there just weren't. And I was quite upset, but determined to grow key limes on my balcony. And you already know that on this channel, when we fail, we pick ourselves back up and try again. And since key limes were so readily available at the stores nowadays, I ran to get one, brought it home, and spent like 2 hours opening them all all up and starting all over again. I broke open 20 different limes, searched for all of the seeds, extracted them all one by one, and started peeling off the outer layer of skin off of the seeds. Once they were naked and ready to germinate, I placed some on a damp piece of paper towel and some others in soil. We needed options here so that we were successful with the limes this time around. Before I knew it, my seeds on the paper towel had sprouted. But I was still waiting for the seeds to sprout in the soil. So I took the germinated seeds and placed them in the pot where the other seeds were that hadn't grown yet. I poured some soil over top, placed them outside, and waited for the first sprouts to pop out. Soon, our tiny little plant was looking like this. And as it grew, I remembered that patience, trial, and error is so clutch in this process. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't, especially when your environment doesn't have the best conditions to grow a plant the way they would normally grow. Thank you very much, Canadia. So, as I waited, I remembered that when life gives you key limes, all you gotta do is squeeze them in your drinks and make a mean cocktail out of it. And now all I have to do is drink this cocktail for the next 730 days and wait for my key limes to finally grow. So the moral of the story is that you've gotta stay committed to me for the next 2 years until we find out whether or not we can finally grow our key lime pie plant.